If you are looking for a way to serve your community and make some great friends along the way, the Civil Air Patrol would love to talk to you. Our local Choo Choo Squadron is gearing up for another round of training classes, what they affectionately call BEST. And we are so happy this morning to have Major Larry Stewart. You can wave, Larry. He's in the back there. This is First Lieutenant Michael Maroon. And next to him, Captain Wendy Britt. Michael happens to be the Choo Choo Squadron commander. Did I get all of that right?
Perfect.
You did.
So I'm struggling my way through a little bit because probably like you watching, and very much like Wendy and Michael until 2 years ago, the Civil Air Patrol, Larry, is not something that many of us really know much about, but we sure are going to benefit from the work that y'all do on a totally volunteer basis, right?
Yeah, we're there ready to answer the call, but nobody knows we're there, and that's fine.
You call it the best kept secret.
Yeah.
But you don't really want it to be a secret because you're actively recruiting. Is it as many as 10 volunteers?
Up to 8 or 10.
Okay.
Yeah, we're keeping the class a little bit smaller than last time, but yeah, we're looking for people who have an interest in aviation and an interest in serving the community.
So 2 years ago, Larry reached out and came on the show and we talked about it. And from that conversation, Wendy and Michael, y'all came in to the volunteer service. So what was your experience? What prompted you to do it? I'll let you go, Wendy. You're trying
Okay. For me, my husband saw the segment and he's always been interested in aviation. So he said, hey, let's go do this. And it's something we could do together to volunteer and help people out. But it's also just a new information to learn and new people to meet. And we've had a good time doing it.
You, Michael, kind of a similar thing. You were retired, looking for a way to give back to the community.
That's correct. I've always been interested in community service, giving back. And when I learned the Civil Air Patrol, until that interview with you, I was not familiar with it. And so after seeing that, I've looked into it and was really happy with what I saw.
So let's educate people then a little bit about what it is that you do. So let's play a true or false game. First of all, you told me, Larry, if I have my numbers right, there are 60,000 Civil Air Patrol volunteers across the country.
Correct.
Only about less than 100 times a year, typically, do those 60,000 people find somebody who's lost.
That's right.
So the likelihood of it being one of you three is fairly slim
Yeah.
over the course of your time. But anytime somebody is missing, y'all are on the ready to help in any way you can. Is
That's
that
correct.
kind of right?
Right.
So educate me a little bit, Larry. You get the call, what happens?
Well, generally, a lost plane is reported, and the Air Force gets the call, and they find out where it is, and they will deploy the Civil Air Patrol units closest to that event.
Okay.
We'll get a phone call afternoon, evening, middle of the night, whenever it is, and we assemble a team. We have 550 Cessna aircraft stationed around the U.S., so we head for the airport where the aircraft is. We prep it, load in, and then we go searching.
So are you essentially a ride-along in that plane, or are y'all
It's a good
piloting it?
Good way to describe it, because none of us are pilots.
Okay.
So we're sitting in the back seat.
Okay.
We're the eyes out. The pilot's keeping the plane in the air and keeping it safe, and the mission observer is assisting the pilot and making sure that the mission is executed properly.
So this is where these volunteers you're actively recruiting will step up, like Wendy and Michael did.
All three of us
All
are
three.
volunteers. Everybody in Civil Air Patrol, other
Okay.
than a couple administrative people,
Right.
are all volunteers.
So when the people watching today, if they sign up for these classes that begin in early September, you're going to teach them how to do what the three of you do. So talk me through the class. What's it like, Wendy?
Well, when we went through it, it was 10 weeks. This time it's going to be 12 weeks. The first 5 weeks will be an introduction to Civil Air Patrol, how to be a member, what to do, what to expect. And then the second part of the course will be how to be a mission scanner. So when we trained, we learned things to look for when you're in the back of a plane. For example, if there's a plane crash, we would be looking for tree tops knocked out of the top of the trees, debris, fire. We learned about patterns, flight patterns. When you look, you make certain search patterns. So just about anything that has to do with mission scanning.
You were telling me, I think, Michael, that also if there's been a natural disaster, tornado, flooding, that type of fire, you're often then working in conjunction with FEMA to get those pictures?
That's right. We have different agencies that may have a need for more information if there's a national disaster or a local community disaster. They'll call the Civil Air Patrol for assistance. And we'll be able to take photographs and give them the information they need to be able to report it to the governor or the governor to the president to have a national declaration of emergency call for that region. where
Do
the
you,
incident is.
as the Choo Choo Squadron, do you work always with the same team of people? If there's a need next Tuesday and one of the three of you could not make it, can the squadron, other people can step in?
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
And how many people typically go out at a time? One?
Usually three in
Three.
an aircraft.
Okay.
But there's also another half dozen to a dozen people at the mission base supporting that aircraft. There might be 2 aircraft out. There might be a ground team on the standby in case we see something in the air that looks like it might be a wreck. Sometimes it just looks like litter or lifestyle.
Right?
So a ground team has to go investigate it, and cadets, like what we have in the background, form ground teams, and they'll go out and investigate and see if that's really the case.
You must have learned so much in the course of your 2 years. You're a teacher
Right.
in Murphy, North Carolina. What do your students think of this? Do they know that you do this?
Some of them do, but I would like to say there's one student, before I even found out about Civil Air Patrol, he was in it in
Really?
Blairsville, Georgia, and he started as a cadet, and that's one thing we also do. We have cadet programs, and his leadership skills just really developed through the program. So
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's true. I've had conversations in my life lately with people who are younger than I am, kind of just starting out, and I've said, I wish you could get yourself in a spot where people will be able to see your strengths and help you grow from there, because you don't always know when you're 21
Right.
what you're good at. Somebody else needs to see it. This is an example, but you're still living your life. You're just volunteering
right,
with Civil Air Patrol.
I think it would be a good thing for young adults, any age, really.
Michael, how often are you doing it? How often do you get a call?
We meet twice a month here in Chattanooga for our squadron, and we also have the opportunity for training missions, what we call SARXs. And on the training missions, we simulate an actual event, and that's how we maintain readiness and be able to answer the call when it comes.
You must feel like you've discovered a whole new part of yourself that you never even knew existed.
It honestly is very nice to be able to give back to our communities.
Yeah.
And this is a nationwide program, and that basically is what everyone's focus is serving their community.
So this past time, 2 people stepped up. Maybe this time we'll double our odds, and 4 of you, or maybe 10 of you, will step up, right?
Well, we had more than 2.
Oh.
We have better than a handful or more
Oh.
that have stayed on and grown and promoted into the program. These are just 2 of us,
Gotcha.
3 of us that were here in the studio today.
You're a very kind educator, Larry. Thank you for not making me feel so silly. So people are going to come where on September 5th, and how do they sign up to join you?
They're going to go to our website first. There they can find out more details about the program and how it works. And if they like what they see, there's a button on there. They can click for the application. It's an online application.
Okay.
Those applications will go directly to Wendy, our commandant for this year's program.
Okay.
And she will look at the application, communicate with the applicant, and if you're accepted into the program, then you'll be coming to where we meet at Wilson Air on the airport property.
And it's at no cost to you. You will buy your uniform.
Yes.
Other than that, they're going to train you at no cost to you, and you will too join the ranks of these wonderful volunteers. Thanks for your service, who spend their time to help us when we need it.
Thanks so much for letting us
The
be
best
here.
kept secret.
Yeah, you're the best.